Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, aka the most detestable piece of human garbage to ever stink up a streaming platform with his presence. At this point, chances are you've already heard about this goober or at least know a little about what he's been doing. To make a long story short, Ramzi's made a career off of being a subhuman waste of space who streams himself, making the lives of the general public a little bit more frustrating. Most recently, he's done this to an extreme extent in South Korea, which has landed him in major legal trouble, resulting in his detainment within the country and several charges to be settled in court. Now, up until recently, Ramzi's shown virtually zero concern or regrets in regards to his actions, mainly because his whole personality is just pretending to be edgy and uncaring or evil. Unfortunately for him, Korea takes stuff like what he's been doing very seriously, and after weeks of putting on an unbothered front and claiming that he's not actually going to be charged with anything, the other shoe has dropped for this crotch goblin. He's facing several years in Korean prison per charge now, and there are several charges against him. To make matters even worse for Ramzi, and better for everyone else, the well has finally run dry on his little nuisance streaming niche. The only streaming site that still allows him on, Party, is no longer paying him, leaving Ramzi broke, despised, and facing jail time in a foreign country. So what has he done in response to this? The weasel backpedaled all the way on all his ridiculously over-the-top edginess and went on an apology tour to try and regain some form of favor with the public. Unfortunately for Ramzi, his acting is about as pathetic as the rest of his life, and it's very evident that his apology is completely performative and inauthentic. Ramzi tried to deliver an apologetic speech and make a show of standing by a comfort woman statue, which is one of the main things he committed some heinously disrespectful actions in regards to, as you can see in my previous video on the topic. Except the absolute turd muncher can't go more than 5 seconds without putting his foot in his own mouth by making disrespectful comments about how he just wants nothing to do with the statue, how it's radioactive to him, and how he doesn't really get what the big deal is. And of course, in true influencer fashion, at no point during this so-called apology does he actually say sorry, which really tells you all you need to know. There's a silver lining though, and that's the fact that you can practically see the fear in his eyes as he keeps scoping out his surroundings. Why, you may ask? Well, thanks to his own actions, Ramzi is now the equivalent of a shiny Pokemon for the Korean public. Except instead of stuffing him in a Pokeball, they would jump him and beat him to within an inch of his life. Hey, violence is never the answer and hurting people is always bad, but luckily, Ramzi's not quite I would call a person, so I'd say it's fine to enjoy his suffering. Now, throughout all of this, you may have noticed something about Ramzi's outfit. To be precise, the eyesore that is the bright red MAGA hat that he wears quite literally everywhere. And if you think I'm exaggerating, know that he even wore this dang thing to his actual court hearing. Yeah, why do I bring the hat up specifically? Well, it ties to Ramzi's next course of action after the apology tour, which was to plead directly to none other than Donald Trump, Barron Trump, and some others to save him. No, this is not a joke. He actually just is this delusional.
Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, if you can see this, Barron Trump, I know you're tapped in with the internet. Please free me. I'm stuck. I'm an American citizen. I know the State Department, they talked to the Romanians. They got Andrew Tate and they got Tristan Tate out of lockup and travel ban in Romania. Please save not Johnny Somali, Johnny Ramzi Ismail, the American. Please. Thank you so much.
Not only does he seem to think that the Trumps and others actually care about a nobody like him, he directly compares himself to figures like A$AP Rocky. I don't even know much about A$AP Rocky, and even I know that it's a ridiculous comparison to make. Not only does Ramzi continue pleading with the leaders of America to save him, he puts on this really cringe bit about how he's reborn as Ramzi Ismail, the American, and not Johnny Johnny Somali.
They saved Brittany Griner. They saved ASAP Rocky out of Sweden ASAP. They saved whatever, one of the Ball brothers when he stole some sunglasses in China.
Even discounting the fact that nobody ever thought of him as anything other than a loser with a made-up name, this is just sad. Or at least it would be if he actually committed to the bit. Instead, it only takes a few more moments for the impulsive and ignorant moron within him to come back out and start demanding that Trump impose tariffs and penalties on Korean companies if they don't free him. Lil bro, you are not him. Now, with all other avenues exhausted, Ramsey still needs to find some way to revive his train wreck of a career. So what does he do next? He seeks out Ice Poseidon and starts all but groveling at his feet to get him unbanned on Kick, a streaming site just marginally less degeneracy-ridden than Party. And yes, you did hear that right. He's just begging Ice Poseidon, another streamer, to get him unbanned from a whole platform, because that's just how it works. And that's not even the real kicker. Oh no, that's the fact that as morally questionable as Ice Poseidon himself is, even he's disgusted by the stuff Ramsey's been doing and his attitude towards it all. Which is fair enough, because even if he's done some weird crap, Ice isn't quite the unrepentant living personification of rage bait that Ramsey is. Throughout this whole interaction out in public, you can see Ramsey all but begging Ice to get him unbanned, claiming that nothing he's done is really that bad, and constantly repeating that he doesn't think that he's a bad guy. Well, newsflash, you are. I'm not crazy, right? You've all gotta agree when I say, yeah, he is that bad of a guy. Not to mention that that statement alone invalidates all the apologizing he's been doing and shows that the only real things about Ramsey are his idiocy and his lack of empathy. The troglodyte is so utterly ignorant that at one point he just says, "I said I'm sorry, man, what more can I do?" and proceeds to put on the most infuriatingly smug grin I've seen in my 20-something odd years of life.
That's why I came to apologize. I said sorry. I didn't deny everything I did. I said sorry. Come on.
Now that's a face even a mother would punch in. Now, throughout all of this, Ramsey has been accompanied by this fellow, Alex Novell, who is making a documentary and is interviewing Ramsey for it. Well, you know what they say about being the company you keep. And this dude's an even bigger crash out than Ramsey himself. After everything else has already gone wrong and Ramsey's failed to find a new source of income, he and Alex are out for dinner when the latter starts absolutely tweaking. Between his unrepentant buffoonery out in public and his choice of words while speaking about Party, it's clear that Alex is a very well-adjusted and mentally sound individual.
You seem like a calm and reasonable person. Are you? A calm and reasonable person. No.
Meanwhile, drunk or not, Ramsey's being an even bigger moron throughout the stream. He screams like a special needs kid out on the street, intentionally smashes a bottle in the restaurant, whips out a baton and threatens to kill the employee, and then starts nonsensically rambling about how Jewish gonads are supposedly purple. As I come to terms with a sentence that just left my lips and realize that I'm the first person in my bloodline to ever utter that sequence of words, I think it's time to end this video. To sum things up, Ramsey, still as much of an entitled and ignorant scumbag as he's always been, refuses to shut the hell up for his own sake, and hopefully when he goes to court again in about a week's time, we'll get the good news that he's being locked up for a long, long time. That's about it, folks.